4-point weft system. Now the 4-point weft system is not as dense as the 3-point system. That is to say, between each strand on the weft you will have slight gaps, and the reason is, with the 4-point system you're actually going to be intertwining the ribbon an extra silk string. However though, it's particularly good because the weft base will be deeper. Now if your client wants to be able to use clips to clip on and off a weft strip, then to be honest with you, a 4-point being deeper means you'll be able to sew on clips far more securely. From my own personal point of view, when you do hair extensions, individual hair extensions, you obviously have little gaps between each hair extension, and the beauty is that they then blend very nicely into your own hair, so they're very natural. With 4-point wefts, there is a slightly larger gap between each strand on the weft, and I actually quite like that, for the simple reason being, I feel when you use them as hair extensions that they blend a nicer, more natural into your own hair. So here we now have the 4-point weft. Now the logic of a 4-point weft is it gives you a choice of finish. You'll see with this 4-point weft the actual band of the wefting will be thicker, and some people actually don't like that, and there will be slightly more space between each strand. Now I actually use this method though if the client is going to wear wefts. This is not for the wigs. With the wigs always do 3-point, because you want a very small band of weft to actually sew on. With a 3-point weft, it's very necessary to use that method when you are using it to sew or attach to a wig cap, because it's much finer. But as I was saying, here with the 4-point, the band you'll see is thicker. Now, if a client wants to use your weft extensions to have clips on only, to be able to clip onto a hair daily, clip them out at night, clip in the morning, then if you have a slightly deeper band of the weft ribbon, you will be able to attach the clips very securely. You'll also see that it is slightly more spaced when we make this, and from my point of view, from an aesthetic point of view, I don't really like wefts when they're actually sewn in the hair or clipped into the hair when they're solid like curtains. I like a little bit of spacing because actually I think it then sort of merges or blends into the client's own hair a lot nicer. So here we begin. Under 1, over 2, under 3 and over 4, under 4, over 3, under 2 and over 1. Then we go under 1, 2, over 3 and 4. And on the way back, we are going to go under 4 and 3, over 2 and under 1. Here is now our end. Make a little tail, tight, and we move it along right up to the knot. Take off a little excess, make it nice and neat. We then take our clip. So again, we go under 1, over 2, under 3, over 4, then under 4, over 3, under 2 and over 1. So we're going to go now, second one, under 1, over 2, under 3, over 4, under 4, over 3, under 2 and over 1. Then we go upwards, under 1 and 2, over 3 and 4, under 3 and 4, on the way down, over 2 and under 1. Make a little tail and we push it along. Under 1, over 2, under 3, over 4, under 4, over 3, under 2, over 1, under 1 and 2, over 3 and 4, then coming back down finally, under 3 and 4, then over 2 and under 1. Under 1, over 2, under 3 and over 4, under 4, over 3, under 2 and over 1. Now going up again, we go up in twos. So under 1 and 2, over 3 and 4. Coming back down finally, under 4 and 3, over 2 and under 1. Make our little tail as we did before with the 3 point. Make our knot, then slide up, 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 up. Very, very tight. Once you get to the clip, quickly take the clip out and push up, up, up. Just snip off any stray ends, and then we go again. Under 1, over 2, under 3 and over 4, under 4, over 3, under 2 and over 1. Going back up now, we go twos again. Under 1 and 2, over 3 and 4. Coming back down finally, under 4 and 3, but now the final one we go over 2 and under 1. And again, make our little tail, make our knot tight and push along. As we just get to the clip, take the clip out very quickly, and we now have our lovely knot. Take up little straight ends. Again, please remember at all times we begin with our root and tip. So we're always, so now we're holding the root and we're feeding the root part, which is called, remember the point, so the word for it, we're feeding that through the actual silk threads. So under 1, over 2, under 3 and over 4, under 4, over 3, under 2 and over 1. Then we're going up in twos again. Under 1 and 2, over 3 and 4. Finally, we're going to come down in 2 and then only 1. So under 4 and 3, over 2 and under 1. We make our little tail. Remember, if the tail is too short, the tail will stick out unsightly. Little M, knot, push along to the clip and quickly push the knot tight, holding it very, very firmly vertically down, again to make sure that the tail does not stick out. and just place a clip on the outside there. You can actually just take off these little odd stray ends if you have any. Make it look nice. And I'm going to put a different colour in to show you how we can all start to make some different colours. Because the whole trick of all hand wefting is that you can offer a client bespoke colourways. So if the lady has highlights and lowlights, you can match up her colour perfectly. You can match up the pattern of her colour perfectly. And also you can use any type of quality hair that you agree on between you and your client. Under 1, over 2, under 3 and over 4. Down again in 1s. So under 4 over 3, under 2 over 1. Now we go up in 2s. Under 1 and 2, over 3 and 4. And finally, the first 2 is in 2s and then singles. So under 4 and 3, over 2 and under 1. Making our tail, make our little knot. You can take off these stray hairs, just makes it much nicer like so. Push along and tight. Get our clip on the edge of it so it's holding it nice and neat. Regarding various qualities of the hair from around the world, sadly there is no legal regulation on what some suppliers and how they describe or name hair. They don't always have to tell the truth. For example, you can buy so-called Remy hair or European hair for about £25–30 a packet, 100 grams. Totally impossible. So, please always remember to try and match up, when making a system, the right texture and quality of hair with that client. So yes, for Caucasian people with fairly fine hair, medium to fine hair, yes, European hair is the best. But it's not necessarily the best for, say, for example, in the African market, or people with very thick, dry hair. Then you would look to use Chinese, Brazilian or Asian hair. Please also remember that with the difference between single drawn and double drawn means the supplier, the factory where you're buying your hair from, they have cut off many inches of wastage to make sure the hair is the same thickness from point, which is the root, down to tip. It's very much more expensive because they cut off all that wastage. However though, single drawn is not always a bad thing if you are given assurance by the supplier that if you want, let's say you want 18 inch, then buy, let's say to you 16 to 20 inch or maybe 18 to 24 inch, because you'll find in, let's say, 20 inch, let's say a highest percentage is probably 60% will be 18 inch. Probably about 20% will be 20 inch and the rest will be 60 or even 40 inch. You're always going to get some shorter bits. Now, it's going to be a lot cheaper than double drawn, but I personally like working with that hair because I get a very nice natural finish. I don't have to trim off little ends with a bit of texturizing. I personally find it is, as I say, very personal here. There's a lot of people who disagree with me, but I don't like wigs or hair extensions where they've got a solid line. It looks unnatural, it looks wiggy. But please remember, and also please remember, that pure Remy hair can either be Remy hair or virgin Remy hair. Virgin Remy hair will mean it is what it says. It has purely been cleansed. Has no colouring on it whatsoever. Remy hair, which is not virgin Remy hair, If it has only been lifted 3, 4, maybe maximum 5 shades from its original virgin form, never got bleached up to a blonde, if it's got at least, say, 50% of the cuticle still on, it can be still determined as Remy hair. If you were to buy Chinese or Indian hair, or Brazilian hair, or Peruvian hair, you were to apply the very blonde colours like 613, I really feel it is not Remy hair at all, because the only way they can lift up that is with a bleaching effect, which will strip the cuticle off. So please beware of the type of hair you're buying for the right type of client, etc. If you want to replace a large piece of lace from a wig, where the lace has shedded but it's not holding any knotting because the lace is very old and it's just rotting, you really have to replace a large piece. Now, you make a template of the head. Always everything is template, always, everything you work from. It's very professional, that means you've also got a record. Place that on your block. Then you place the lace onto the block. Once you go past the flat part of your head, just around the contours, then to create contours of a shape, you have to put small darts. Just like if you're making a dress or any form of garment where you wanted to make a rounder shape to the shape of a body, you put darts. It's exactly the same logic. Then you place the wig, the cutout wig, onto the block, which has got the template on. Place the wig minus its top piece correctly where it should go. Remember now, I should have said, you leave the lace on underneath the wig first. So you've got the template, then you've got the lace, which you now put some darts in if it's a big piece, and then you put this cap on. You then pin it, then you draw around the edging where the lace meets the system. Draw around it. Take off the wig to be fixed. Then cut out along your lines the shape of your lace part you're going to sew. Then pin that lace piece to the whole shape of the hair system. However though, when you cut out the lace, please remember, don't cut right along the line you've done. Go an extra centimetre over, make it a centimetre larger, so that then you sew the lace, the new lace top, onto the edging around the wig you are fixing, and then you'll have a little hem. If you don't do that, it can fray. And that's how you replace. The same thing if you want to make a lace front for a wig, you again make your template, position your wig, your existing wig, and then using the shape of the front of the circumference on your template, draw the actual lace front and then attach it using that same method. Now, if you want to make your own lace full system, if you want to make the cap, I personally would say buy those caps in. They're only about £10, they're nothing. But if you wish to do it all yourself, then it's very simple. With these darts, so you make bigger darts. You keep on the block, turning say it's 5 or 6 darts, just turning, making the darts, pin it, so you've got completely sculpted how the head is going to go. Completely sculpted. Pin it, sew it. Sewing machine is always going to be better. Then also, what you should do, I personally like to use stretch lace for certainly, if not all my wig cap I would make, certainly if not, then at least all over and maybe not here. But otherwise, I like to. But always the edging, turn it under about 3 or 4 mil, making a little hem all the way around. Again, to create neatness so it doesn't fray. And then you can always put a little bit of elastic. Remember, make the elastic a centimetre shorter so that it's tight on the head. And one last thing to say to you, with the stretch lace, always make the lace cap a centimetre all round, all the sizes, slightly shorter, so when it goes on the head, you've got the stretch, and therefore it's tight on the head. That is the front. And we will literally, we'll take this piece, we start from the middle and pin it. It's quite laborious, but it's very important to go step by step, so you don't make any mistakes. Going. And then we'll obviously, what we'll do now, we have to bring the shape round to the front. Like so. Can you see how we're going to do this now? Just literally pin it to the sides. So the idea, really, I always sew the back first, and then we bring this round to it, and you start to see there is the replacement of a whole top piece coming along. Right along. Now we make sure that the lace is under the head in the piece, quite obviously. And then we'll get the marker and we literally will we're literally marking out the lace to the shape that would cut out of the wig. pull this off. Then we would simply remove the lace and we'll cut out the shape. So there is our lace. Now, one thing I want to just tell you though, if you make quite a large piece, and do you remember I said about creating darts at the beginning of the lessons, to create darts to the shape of the head? Well, again, if you go quite large, to create the contours of the head, you would then put in a couple of darts, which is now creating the shape of the head, like so. Okay? And that will give you the shape of the top of the head. So take this out. One thing we also got to do is just as well the very front as well. And then we'll simply cut round. Leaving a slight gap outside the red line. So, around the front, again leaving a slight gap around the red line, like so. Okay? And then what will happen, we will then sew underside the new lace to inside. There is the red line. Now the trick basically is to put the red line right onto the edge, and we would pin all the way around, so you would see we're actually going to shape in there. Once you've got one, you can then cut one of the strings to start making single cotton. And literally would run it along now. Just take the pins out during the lock. There's no need for them to be there. So you're going to run it all the way along. When this is all done, then quite obviously then you start to pin it up here as well. So the shape then comes into the hairpiece, like this. You'll end up with that, as you can see. Okay? So you'll end up all the way around, and you then would bring that round into it as well. Same rule applies, literally like that. When that's done, you can see there's the shape. You've created this round shape because of the darts you've created. If you don't, so in other words, if you're just doing a small area, like replacing a closure, there's no need for any darts whatsoever because you haven't got much of a contour around here. Okay? Now, but once you go around that contour, then you're just a small dot. Remember something though, this is quite important. If you were making a complete wig system from lace, then the darts would come all the way around there. You'd actually end up using about 5 darts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 darts to create a full system. Quite obviously, because you want all the contours all the way around to fit like a glove around the head. Quite obviously, when you're just doing, you're only going halfway down the head, then just enough dart, just there to there, and to there, and to there. 3 darts probably do it, as we've got here on this lace, to create a slight contour shape there, so that it'll fit nicely and give you, when it's actually attached to the part you've just replaced, it'll attach very nicely. Let's say the lady comes along and she says to you, here's her wig, but she said to you, all this area has had it. It's like the lace has gone. Well, here this is perfect, obviously, but let's just say she's come to you and she said to you, look, I've got a lot of shedding up here, right? Lots and lots of shedding, but the problem I've got is that the wig's about 2 years old, 3 years old, whatever it would be, and every time you try a knot on here, the lace is just giving way, and it's just a waste of time trying to add hair to the lace. She's going to come back to you and complain, saying, hey look, this is no good, the hair's come away again. That's when you've literally got to cut out, in this case it would be the top piece here, cut this out, and that's when you go through the exercise we've just done, where you would literally put this, you cut this out, put this onto your template, but before you do that, put the lace onto the template, then put the system onto the template, minus this area, and then you go through the routine of drawing it out, cut out the drawing of the lace you've done, which would be like this, and then sew, stitch it all the way around, and then you would knot as normal. So you literally are replacing the whole top rather than just adding more hair. Okay? Good. If you want to do a lace front, a new lace front, then you do the similar logic. But this time, here is your template. You don't need the wig at this stage. Here is your template. And we know that is our lace front there. We know it because we've created on our template, we've actually created our fringe. So in this case, you would simply pin down the lace, pin down the lace like this, and then again, same rule applies. We get our marker and we would literally mark out that lace front. that is a lace front we're going to create for the client. Now, if though the client, all she wants is, rather than the whole lace front replacing, she wants a bit of a lace front added to her, then what we do is very simple. If you want to, whilst you're making a lace front, you actually want to lengthen the wig, as we've discussed a while ago, you would simply place your wig like so, and it all down, and then you know you're following the shape. Okay, that lace front like so, there's that nice shape there, you see? And then what you're doing, you're in fact adding a lace front and also at the same time elongating the shape. If, for example though, you're fairly happy with the length that it is, what you don't want to do is make the wig then too long, you'll get a complaint, then all you do really is move up the wig, so you're only maybe extending it by maybe only half an inch. So you're actually going to make and there again, that will be your new lace front. So it's actually just a smaller area, and you'll draw it out that way. And then you would simply cut out the lace, and at the same time, you then turn it upside down and sew on the lace underneath. Exactly the same way, and then you would put it on your block and then to snore. For bleach knotting, if you are making a lace system with black or dark brown hair, then you will always see, even if you just use 3 hairs, you will always see, if you look very carefully, the bulb of the knot. So to try and fade it away, what you would do is turn the system upside down or inside out and put it onto your block. Then you would make a thick paste of bleach. You can use 40 volume, it'll help it to come up very quickly. But if you're using just very small areas, then buy yourself an artist's thick paintbrush. And when I say thick, I mean strong, and about half an inch wide. And then gingerly, do not dig the colour in, just gingerly paint it on, and keep checking. You really don't want the bleach to seep through, just make sure it's just gone through enough just to catch colour onto the actual knot, not to make it go blonde, but really just to slightly discolour it. We take one little bit of lace, we literally grab 2 or 3 hairs, and at the same time now I'm pulling against the tip of the needle up to lift the needle off the lace and slightly away to get a good secure on the tip so it will not slide off the needle. Now we go back on ourselves. As I approach the lace hole, I'm now turning the tip of the needle downwards, 45 degrees, down and up and away. I then come back. I now wrap the left hand around the tip of the needle, shuffling my fingers along so that I'm close to the needle like so. I've now created a loop. As you can see, there is a loop on the neck. There is a loop there. Can you see there? Right, the closest to the beginning of the actual handle is a loop. My intention is to drag through the hair through that loop. So again, as I reach it, I turn the needle down and out. We'll shuffle down to get close to the lace, and we'll drag it along, dragging my fingers along, and as I reach the knot, just gently touch the knot and I slide it away, going along the contours of the head, so I get a low flat look like so. Again, let's take some lace. One square of the lace. We now take a couple of hairs, shuffle things along, pulling against the tip of the actual needle. Take some again, just right there, tight and tension. Now, watch how my needle will turn at 45 degrees so that the tip is not catching the lace. If I go down and up, do it again to show you. Then down and up, then and back on itself through the loop, down and up, and because that's all connected, as we follow through with our right hand, it drags the left hand along. As we touch the knot, press gently and away we go. Perfect knot. Okay? And again. The elements are, we go under one square of the lace. We will then introduce the left hand to the needle. We must make sure the needle goes under and right through. So you've got space. The whole idea is to create space for yourself. We have space to put it on the needle. Introduce the hair, take the hair. Like so. Down and up. Now one thing is, you've probably noticed now, we've been working quite a lot on the lace. The lace does stretch, as we were saying. So now you must always be mindful, and every now and then we must actually just stretch the lace like so, to make it taut again. Because what you've probably noticed, what was starting to happen was that the actual lace was sagging, which means the needle will catch on the lace because there's no tension. So again, let's do one up here to keep it clear and so you can see what's actually going on. Now, we introduce with the left hand. The needle grabs 2 or 3 hairs. Now we go down and up. 1, 2. Holding it there to create that loop. There's the loop on the neck. The idea is to drag the hair now back and through the loop. Again, when you go back, down 45 degrees and up, like the swish of a brush. Just imagine as I said to you before, when you're painting, let's say you're painting a wave on a picture on a canvas, and a wave would be a nice swish. That's the movement we want. Easy, easy. The less movements you have when knotting is the neater and the quicker the work will be. So easy, no stress and very little movement, speed and neatness. Now, the whole idea though is this. On this, as we've discussed already before, the template is telling us the woman wants, or lady wants, a directional parting, which is what we're starting to create. Now, here though, the lady now wants a full fringe. And therefore, she doesn't want any split on a parting. She wants it so that there is our point it will start from. Okay? And therefore, multi-directional or freestyle, it's another word for it, exactly the same. you're taking it like the segments of an orange, which would be 1 and so forth, and filling in these angles. Okay? The beauty with that, it gives your client the ability to either have a full fringe or to also to be able to part it slightly. In other words, if you have multi-directional, then you can actually full fringe or part it slightly there and there. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the client requested no definite parting, none at all. You would then start from here and you do your multi-directional from there, and so forth, which means you then have the ability to do it any way you want. Okay? Now, there is some form of knotting called cross knotting. Now, and what that means is this: at the point there, or for example at the crown point, what you would do is, each one, if you did one knot, let's say this way, the knot next to it would be this way, and then this way, and this way. So you've got no definite direction. We are crossing the knotting, which means that the beauty with that, it is a very natural point. It's almost like a crown. It just merges like so. There's no actual break. So you can move it any way you want, but in its normal state, without being moved, when it's sitting on the head, it means then it's just a natural, it's just like it's coming out of the scalp quite naturally, any way you want it. Okay, so let's take a little bit of hair and let's show you. Then we turn back about 2 inches or so. Now the whole idea, as we've said earlier, is when you're doing directional, you must turn the head to your convenience. So let's just say now I'm going to follow this line here. So I work along a plane parallel with me. Therefore, I need to turn this so I am now parallel. So this now becomes square. There it is. Normally it's now square. Okay, so now we are going to work. We'll start from here. So let's now take one little bit of lace, one square. Introduce the hair. Shuffle our fingers along so I've got control. Now, down and up. Don't you see, I only went down 45 degrees angle only. Twice round, pulling slightly up, slightly away from the tip. I have control. I'm going to go back on myself now through that loop. So I go back and it's like so. Ease it out. My fingers are being dragged along, low down, and as it touches the knot, just put your finger out there and just ease the knot out. And therefore we've now got our lovely knot here. Only a small little knot, which is very, very natural. So look at that, we've got a direction here right along that arm. But the most important thing is when you're turning the needle, don't turn it completely down from here, don't turn it completely down, which is 180 degrees, and then certainly don't turn it down and even go that way, because then you're sort of struggling to get it through and out. The whole idea is take the hair and then down towards, let's say, 90 degrees. We're not 45, more 90, so it's there. It's just enough. The whole logic is just to hide that. That is the idea. But lifting the left hand, because I'm taking tension left hand and lifting up, it's pulling the tip of the needle up. Then I'm putting the needle up, and by doing that, I'm making space between the lace and the scalp, which is our actual template. It's giving me clearance to be able to get the needle under and out easily. So again, so we'll set that. This is what we do. So again, can you see the difference that we're doing now? So effectively what you're doing at all times is you are working away from you. And as I say, if you can actually lift your, strange enough, I know it sounds silly, you can lift that right elbow, that is forcing you to work away from you. If you keep your elbows down, it actually almost slightly could encourage you to work more there, because it's more the natural way. We want to go the opposite way. As I say, the main reasons are you get less movement, less work, quicker, neater, and when you finish off the knot, taking the hair along the contour, it's much easier when it's away from you. Like so. So, again, we're just going to take a couple of hairs. Like so. Now, the trick is 45 degrees turn only. So we're staying along the plane, right? We're never going, if that's the plane above here, we're never going below it, behind it. 1, 2, come against it. Back on ourselves, little twist down 45 degrees to go through that loop without catching it, slide her along, get to the knot, and away we go. Let's carry on. And now you're starting to build that up. Right, now we're now going to do underventing. You'll find this very easy. Underventing. The idea being, if you have a style with a definite parting, so a lady will part the hair quite severely like so, or she doesn't want the hair all back, just a little bit back, like mine, just slightly back there, and she doesn't want to wear a lace front which she has to then stick or glue down. So we want to make it look as natural as possible. In other words, if you look at my hair, I've got baby hairs like most people. So we're going to create that look. So in other words, when a lady then would literally part their hair or here or here, she would then see very fine hairs. And also at the same time, if she wants to make a parting but she'd like to bring a little bit, not back. The minute you go back, you've got to wear a lace front. But not back, just showing a little bit, maybe a little kink here. Again, you can get away with it by camouflaging that little space with a few baby hairs. Secondly as well, if you have a wig system whereby it's a skin top, So with a skin top and there's no lace front, you've got a ridge. It's literally the end of that wig, it's a ridge. And that can look very unsightly. So again, you can camouflage the ridge with underventing or baby hairs. So the way we would work this, imagine then, obviously with this piece here, we are going to fill up this area. So let's just imagine we've done all the venting up to here, and so we're now going to follow this line here. So we then will start to pin. Again, now this is very, very important. We must pin very tightly and create tension again. Because again, if we don't have tension in all forms of venting, then you won't be able to knot, and you most likely will actually tear the hair. Sorry, I apologise, the lace. You'll tear lace. And if also as well, sometimes, you know, if you, when you're following through with your final movement of the knot, you can also tear hair if it's catching. Because with underventing or baby hairs, here's the thing now, we can only do one hair at a time. And therefore, with one hair at a time, the hair is going to be very, very weak. So now what we have to do, we actually now have to create a very mild but quite definite tension. It's finding the balance between tension but still being gentle. And we do 2 rows behind each other. And we don't miss any holes out going along, and we do 2 rows right onto that blue line. So here we go, we're going to take our knot. Very, very, very gentle. Very, very gentle. We're now going to keep going. Literally just very easily. That lace. Let's just tie this lace down so I'm catching it. That's better. That's better. Also notice I'm only taking 2 or 3 hairs at a time. I know it's much slower to work this way, but it's better because if you've only got very few hairs in your finger here, your left finger, you're less likely to grab too many hairs. Starting to see here's our baby hairs coming through. So the idea being, when you take this off, you will have effectively your wig like so, with a few baby hairs just coming from underneath. That is the actual idea. Now, the other thing I want to say though is this. You can also use baby hairs either right around the front, or equally, if you want to wear, the lady wants to wear her wig going upwards, then you would put baby hairs all on the back, because again, we try to make it not look like a wig. So the idea being, as a lady wears her hair up, she can have some softness coming down like so. Secondly as well, if she puts the pony too high, then effectively the wig can ride up, and you can see that again the ridge of the end of the wig. This way you are covering it, so it's a lot better. So we can now see it's very delicate, it's very meticulous, but look how beautiful that work is there. And as I say, we will then fill in, once you've looked at it, we will then just fill in any holes we want to, once we've looked in through there. Now we take this off, and then you'll see what exactly I'm talking about. Okay. So, as you will imagine, this is our main piece up to here. This will all be filled in. We then cut the excess lace away. This is the front hairline here. And then underneath, we have here the baby hairs, as you can see. And that will come right to the edge of the front of the hairpiece, but underneath. So try and imagine that is cut away. Your system will be knotted right up to the edges there, where my nail is, and nicely then underneath as well as on top, with your venting, underneath you'll have these lovely hairs. So as you can see, this would look very nice if you had a parting like so and like so. You have these little baby hairs here, so as the hair would go left and right with the parting, it's not hard, it softens it down to a lovely finish. And the same would go for if it was at the back of the pony, at the back of the head.
It's something in your mind.